quarterback Mark Brunell sees a comparison.
I know Miami in those years, they had quality players. They had key individuals on their football team that were committed to being as best as they could as early as possible. And I think that's the same here.
Brunell's Jaguars have the NFL's best record.
Brunell to throw, turns and he's for the end zone. He's got Jimmy Smith. Touchdown, Jacksonville!
But as John Elway proved, winning a championship is what matters most.
I think it validates a player's career because for every quarterback, that's the ultimate goal. And after you're done playing, you want to be able to tell your friends, your family, that you won one.
Tonight, the Jacksonville Jaguars seek their 10th consecutive win against the Super Bowl champion Denver on ABC's Monday Night Football.
It is a great scene down here, and Al, as you said, they have the best record in the league. They're almost unstoppable at home. Tom, what in your words is there to be humble and hungry about tonight?
Well, we need to get this 12th win tonight. Our players are excited about this. We have the world champions here at home. It'll be a heck of a game.
You have 3 players with at least 8 sacks. How do you rattle Brian Griese?
Well, we got to get after Brian. We have to mix it up, change up our fronts, change up our coverages, try to keep him guessing, and we'll be pressuring.
It's worked so far. Thanks, Tom. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leslie. Griese will get the ball right off the bat because the Jaguars will kick off. Steve Lindsay, who is not their regular place kicker, but is on the roster solely to kick off, sends it skyward in North Florida, and we're underway in Jacksonville. It comes down into the arms of the rookie Chris Watson at the 9-yard line, and the coverage is very good as he is taken down up at the 20 by Renee Stewart. Brian Griese, son of Bob, out of Michigan, where he led the Wolverines to a Rose Bowl title, was the MVP in that game 2 years ago. And Brian, in the backfield with him tonight, Olandis Gary, the rookie from Georgia, spelling the injured Terrell Davis. Griffith, the blocking back. Smith and McCaffrey are outside. And Carswell, a Jacksonville native, the tight end. Jones, Schlereth, Nalen, Neal, and Lepsis, the interior 5. From the 20, Griese on a draw, hands the ball to Gary, who takes it to the 24-yard line. Stopped there by Brackens, having a great season. Let's take a look at that Jaguar defense, number 1 in the league, coming into the weekend with Wynn, Gary Walker, the ex-Oiler and Titan, Payne, and Brackens up front. Then the linebackers, Bryce Pop, Lonnie March has done a real nice job in the middle. Kevin Hardy outside having a great year. And in the secondary, the rookie Bryant with Beasley at the corners, Darius and Parnell Lake, the longtime Steeler, are the safeties.
Al, you'll see a lot of fronts from the defensive front 7 of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is the modus operandi for Dom Capers, their defensive coordinator.
And they've been moving around on the first 2 plays, and here is Gary again, and he picks up 3, a harder and 3 to the 27. Lake comes up for support, and there is the former Carolina coach who has turned, Boomer, a defense that was very suspect into a monster defense.
Well, he brought him from 25th to 1st, and a lot of it has to do not only with his schemes, but some of the guys that they brought in this year. Most notably, Gary Walker and Parnell Lake. One way to deplete your opponents is to take their players, and that's what they did when they got Walker from the Titans and Lake from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Almost sounds like the AFC West with the Broncos and the Chiefs and the Raiders swapping guys left and right through the years. 3rd down and 3 from the 27-yard line. Griese throws, converts a first down as Rod Smith hauls it in up at the 35, and that's an auspicious beginning, Boomer, for a team that last week couldn't convert on 3rd down against the Chiefs.
And the interesting thing watching that was Dom Capers elected to sit back in the zones and not go after Brian Griese. I'm sure that he wants to see if Griese can move the football, and after what happened last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, he just wants to feel Griese out and see how he's playing. If he starts hitting some balls like this, watch out for the blitz to try to knock him off his game a little bit.
Opening drive of the game, 1st down Broncos. at the 35-yard line. Double tight end set and whistles before the snap. It'll be against Denver. Illegal procedure. That's Jerry Austin, the referee.
False start, number 89, 5 yards. It's still first down.
Dwayne Carswell excited to be here tonight. Boomer is a native of the city.
He's a native of the city, but he's listening to the wrong guy barking out the signals. Now, Lonnie Martz, the middle linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, will scream the word move, and that will tell his defensive linemen to move their positions. The offensive linemen and tight ends have to be really careful about who they're listening to and make sure that they listen to their quarterback.
Good thing he's not a ventriloquist. It'll be even tougher. First and 15. This is McCaffrey making the catch back at just about the original line of scrimmage up to the 35. It'll be second and 10. Aaron Beasley with the coverage. Mike Shanahan in his 5th year. Mike still only 47 years old, one of the youngest coaches in the league still.
Watch this defense jump around here. Watch 56 Martz. He's the guy, the traffic cop, if you will. And he'll move them all around. 51, Kevin Hardy comes into your picture. This is the type of defense that you have to be really sure of where your blitzers are coming from if you're a young quarterback.
Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator. Second down and 10 from the 35-yard line, and they give the ball to Derek LaVille, and LaVille takes it to the 40-yard line. He is stopped there by Smengi. LaVille hasn't played that much this season. He's had a hamstring problem, and of course Terrell Davis, and there he is. Tore up his knee, had surgery week 4 against the Jets. Appears to be rehabbing well, Boomer, and should be none the worse for wear next year.
And he told me today that he's doing really well, and all he has to do is look across the field and look at James Stewart. And James Stewart has overcome the same injury that Terrell Davis has and is now having a great season for the Jaguars.
There are the Broncos, as you saw, averaging 8 points per game less than they have over the last 4 years, 3rd and 5, and that is caught by McCaffrey, and that's a first down up at the 47-yard line. Aaron Beasley tackles him.
Now, this is really uncharacteristic for this Jaguar defense just to sit back like this. They're rushing only 4 guys, and they're allowing Brian Griese to make quick decisions without anybody in front of him. I don't know how much longer you can let him sit back there and get too comfortable.
Griese's best performance of the season may have been on opening night. It was the game against Miami on Monday night. That was exactly 3 months ago tonight from the 47-yard line. This is Gary, and it's a gain of 1 up to the 48. But Boomer, Mike Shanahan told us last night when discussing Griese, he said he's doing all right. He has a chance to be an excellent quarterback, and he's under unbelievable pressure.
Not only pressure, I mean controversy, not only surrounding himself, but also Bubby Brister, the guy that was supposed to come in and lead the team at the beginning of the season. There's Bubby. Bubby then was going to come back when Brian got hurt. Then Bubby got hurt in practice. Then Chris Miller went in. Then Chris Miller sustained a concussion. Then Brian Griese's back in there. I mean, it's just been one revolving door after the next.
Crazy. They have Jeff Brom on the roster right now as well as the number 3 quarterback. Second down and 9 from the 48-yard line. Griese under pressure, avoids the sack, and then takes off into Jacksonville territory, and a first down. Brian taking it to the 38-yard line. Bracken's penetrated, almost had a sack, which would have been his 11th of the season. Instead, another first down for the Bronx.
Well, you know what Brackens did is he actually went for the ball, which is not a bad thing to do if you're a defensive player. Watch Brackens come around with his right arm and try to script the ball. But what I like about Brian Griese is that he actually had 2 hands on it and was aware of it and took off with it. So it's a nice play by Griese. It's a great play, actually, holding on to the football.
Especially for a guy, Griese, who leads the league in fumbles with 13. This is Gary picking up 4 to the 35-yard line.
What a smart play by Tony Brackens. A la Bruce Smith coming around the corner and stripping the quarterbacks from the backside. And that's why defensive ends, especially right defensive ends in football, going against right-handed quarterbacks are worth their weight in gold. And this guy here is in a contract year, Al, and he is making a statement.
Having a big season, a Pro Bowl type of season. As you look at Griese again, able to hold on. Second down and 6 from the 35. This drive began at the 20. Griese throws, and it's another first down. It is caught by McCaffrey, and it fights his way to the 22-yard line. Eddie McCaffrey, one of those guys who has just gotten better with age. Started as a Giant, went to the 49ers, and probably having his best season.
Well, you talk about getting better with age. He's playing against a rookie, 5'10", 181-pound Fernando Bryant, number 25. And Fernando is one of the better cover guys that Tom Coughlin has seen come along in a long time. But the fact is when you're playing against a cagey veteran like this, you have to be able to keep your feet.
4th and 10. This the 11th play of the initial drive of the game. Greasy protected well, going for 6, caught by Smith, touchdown. And there's Dad saluting son who leads him 80 yards just like that. Whoa. As he did on opening night against Miami. Remember, a good first drive against the Dolphins 3 months ago tonight. So there's something about maybe the number 13, Boomer, the 13th of December.
The only thing I could tell you, Al, is that Fernando Bryant is getting a lesson on how not to cover guys downfield. And this time, Greasy lays it out there, and Smith basically actually outruns Dave Thomas to safety.
Seconds shy of 7 minutes. They go 80 yards down the field, capped off by Greasy to Smith, and the Broncos, who come in as about 9-point dogs, leading 7-0.
These great receivers have to be able to get off the line and get away from the cover guys. And that time, Thomas was leaning back on his heels, and it gave Smith, with great speed, the opportunity to get around him. It's not that hard. No, it's one-on-one. And if you have good protection, you can throw the ball down the field.
Right.
That's what happens.
End of a textbook drive. Establish the run, pick and poke through the air, and then go to the end zone. 7-minute drive, Elam to kick off. Barlow has it go through his hands and out the back of the end zone, and so Jacksonville will take over at the 20-yard line. Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach. And here comes Mark to lead the Jags from the 20. Mark Brunell battling sore ribs for a while, but completely healthy now. Boomer mentioning 3 300-yard games in a row. Playing his best football of the season. His numbers right there. And offensively behind him, Fred Taylor is in uniform, but James Stewart gets the start. Shelton, the blocking back. Smith and McCardell, the outstanding wideouts. And the guys up front, Pacelli, Coleman, Wade, Wiegert, and Searcy. David Jones, the tight end, lines up on the right side, and James Stewart gets the ball. Takes it out to the 23-yard line. 2nd down and 7. Now the Bronco defense with Smith, Traylor, Price, and Tanavasa up front. Price having a Pro Bowl type of year. Kadrez, Al Wilson, the rookie out of Tennessee, and Romanowski playing in his 29th Monday night game are the linebackers. Crockett and Dale Carter, the ex-chief, at the corners. Tyrone Braxton and George Coghill are the safeties. Tyrone Braxton in his 13th year out of North Dakota State. 2nd and 7 from the 23. And Brunell throws, caught, and a first down. Damon Shelton, the blocking back and fullback, who can also catch the ball, as he proves there. Kadrez, the first guy to hit him, and then Romanowski, the second. It's a first down.
Al, Damon Shelton did 2 things on that play. He actually ran out of the backfield, picked up a blitz on his way out, chipped the blitzer, and then regained his composure, and Mark Brunell threw him a strike. So a nice play by Damon Shelton on both ends.
Shelton comes out of the game right now because they spread the formation here. The sole setback with Reggie Barlow in the game is James Stewart. Stewart behind Brunell from the 30-yard line, and they give it to James. And he picks up only a yard, but what a story he was as you look at Rich Tulsky and Kyle Brady, their starting guard and tight end, who are hurt and out. But Stewart was hurt last year, knee surgery early in the season. That gave Fred Taylor an opportunity to shine, and then this year Taylor's been in and out of the lineup as Brunell goes over to get another helmet.
That's because his earphones and his helmet probably aren't working, but he should know the offense well enough not to even have to play with a helmet.
I would think so. And in the I formation right now with Stewart the tailback on 2nd down and 9. The fake to Stewart. Brunell has the ball taken away, and then he's able to recover it as Trevor Price, and talking about him before, is having a Pro Bowl type of season, and Brunell needs another helmet now. Price made a huge play in the Oakland game on Monday night 3 weeks ago, helping lead the Broncos to that overtime win. And Brunell will, with his 3rd different helmet, run the... No, this is probably the original helmet.
Right, probably fix it. What they have in the helmets of the quarterbacks is they have earphones, so the coaches can talk to them, tell them what plays and what formations to call during the game. And the quarterbacks obviously did not like the level of what he was hearing in there, so he must have needed a new helmet.
3rd down and 16. Tom Coughlin calls the plays. As Brunell throws, and that's caught up at the 31-yard line, but well shy of the 1st down. Reggie Barlow.
Al, you and I talked about it last night, and we were wondering how this defense of the Broncos was playing, especially last week after giving up all those yards on the ground against Kansas City. But Greg Robinson told me, hey, my guys are playing hard, and there is Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator. My guys are playing hard. I can always count on having 11 guys go out on the field on a Sunday or Monday night and play hard, and that's exactly what they're getting from this defense.
Gardner is hurt. The one thing about the Broncos, the only time they've been blown out this season was on opening night against Miami. And all of their losses since then, they have been in the game until the very end.
A lot of problems with helmets tonight, Al.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Brunell as Mark now out of the game on 4th down. Obviously, Chris Watson back to accept this kick from Barker. And he fields it at the 19-yard line with no room at all to roam. Made the catch along the sideline, and Jason Kraft is down there to cover. So Brunell comes out after an unproductive first drive. Greasy and the Bronco offense back in. 7-0 Denver. His drive begins now from the 23-yard line, and Olandis Gary takes it up to the 33, close to a 1st down, tackled by Bryce Pop.
Well, you say what you want about the Bronco defense, but the Bronco offense has come to play tonight, and you can see that in the first 2 series, Al. They are just absolutely coming off the ball. They're flying, and you can see the way Olandis Gary ran up into that middle of that pile right there. And there's the first drive, 11 plays, 80 yards for about 7 minutes.
In terms of time, their longest drive of the year, consuming almost half the quarter. And now it is on 2nd and short. Gary taking it to the 35, and that's a 1st down. Johns River, 1st down at the 35-yard line as Greasy retreats under pressure, nimbly steps away, hits Howard Griffith, and the fullback has a 1st down, and a lot more, picking up 19 as he's finally run down by Donovan Darius.
All right, we talk about the education of a young quarterback. This is it right here, the poise in the pocket, not to panic. Be able to find your 4th or your 5th receiver when everything's covered downfield. Watch Greasy just backs up, holds on to the ball, keeps it in the throwing position, and finds Griffith. So far, so good for Brian Greasy, and I think Mike Shanahan's got to be very pleased with the way his young quarterback is playing.
Near perfect beginning from the 47 now on 1st down. They give it to Griffith on the ground, and he goes nowhere as Darius comes up from the secondary to lead the charge. Seth Payne started it.
You know, many in the NFL will tell you that the Jaguar defense obviously is number 1, and they're a fly-around kind of defense. But you look at their schedule, Al, and you look who they've played. And you're looking at the 49ers, the Panthers, the Steelers, the Jets, the Browns, the Bengals, the Falcons. A lot of those teams are not in the top echelon of offense when they were playing them. And they might see a little bit better of an offensive team than they've seen in the past few weeks.
2nd down and 9. From the 46-yard line, Greasy, a little swing pass. It is caught by Gary, and he's run out of bounds by Lake. Well, you know, Boomer, when people look to find the pimples on Miss America, I mean, it's the same thing with Jacksonville. It's, they play a lousy schedule, or St. Louis plays a lousy schedule. It's true to the extent that, yes, they played a lot of weak teams, but when you go back to the history of the league, to wit, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, the perfect team, the 17-0 team, played the 2nd easiest schedule in the history of the National Football League. 3rd and 5 from the 41. And this is Byron Chamberlain, who takes it to the 29-yard line. And with Bob Greasy here tonight, Brian's father, it's particularly relevant. I mean, Bob quarterbacked that undefeated team, the great team coached by Don Shula, and there he is.
But I will tell you that he won't like this.
Well, there it is.
Here it is.
Well, 75, the Minnesota Vikings in 75 played the easiest schedule, and then St. Louis and Jacksonville in the process right now of playing easy schedules.
And that could change by the end of the year, depending on how their opponents. But the one thing that I will tell you is that I don't like to use the word easy when it comes to playing in the NFL because it's not easy. Last week they beat the Steelers 20-6. Don't tell me that the Steelers defense is easy to play against, because it's not.
Well, Jacksonville not having an easy time right now, and Greasy again on target, and it is caught by Carswell, and Carswell fights his way down to the 11-yard line, dragging Lake with him.
And this has been one of the positions, and there's Sharp right there. This is one of the positions that has really fallen off in recent weeks. And take a look at this. Watch Brian Greasy just deliver a strike. You can see why Mike Shanahan likes it, but watch Carswell. He's 260 pounds. Looks like Cornell Lake's going for a ride.
Yep. And Carswell playing in front of a lot of friends and family, a kid who grew up here. First down at the 12-yard line, and timeout is called by Olandis Gary. Signal timeout, Denver. With only 15 seconds left in the quarter.
He is a rookie, Al.
Yeah, that's about the only way Denver's been stopped.
And this is where the Broncos have had problems, Al, in the red zone. The turnovers, especially down here, have killed them this year. So we'll see if Brian Greasy can make a play and find somebody open.
15 seconds left in the period. First down from the 12-yard line.
Got him.
Greasy to Carswell again, but nothing but teal shirts there, and he's taken down at the 10 after a gain of 2 by Kevin Hardy, and that's the way this quarter will end. A quarter dominated by the current world champions. End of 1. Denver 7, Jacksonville nothing. Monday Night Football back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Start the second quarter in Jacksonville. Al Michaels with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser. Brian Greasy, a perfect first quarter. 10 for 10, 108 yards, and a touchdown. It is second down, 8, Denver, at the Jaguar 10-yard line. Olandis Gary with a big hole, and the rookie takes it to the 3-yard line, tripped up a little short of the first down by Kevin Hardy.
Al, when you watch the center of this offensive line surge and you have a slashing back like Olandis Gary running as hard as he is tonight, it's no surprise that he's gaining the yards that he's getting. Now watch right up the middle. Good eyesight right behind Mark Schlereth, and you could see that Olandis Gary is running hard and he's making the extra yards, the hard yards.
Third down and a short 2 from the 4. Greasy rolls, throws to McCaffrey. Doesn't get in. He is stopped just shy of the goal line, but that's a first down. First and goal from inside the 1.
If you're Brian Greasy, I need that touchdown. Give me that touchdown. But he's been on the money tonight. He's been accurate. He's finding his open receivers. And I really believe that Mike Shanahan is calling a good game right here, allowing him to get out of the pocket, find those receivers, and deliver it. Now we're down on the goal line. You have to watch out. The number 70, Trey Teague, lining up as a tight end. This could be one of those plays, those tackle-eligible plays.
First and goal inside the 1. Instead, Gary dives in for the touchdown.
Oh, why didn't he call that play, Al?
Well, they didn't call it because Greasy wanted to. As you look at the Denver box, and Pat Bolin in the back row on the left, and Bob Greasy there. And Bob's young son, the 24-year-old Brian, is, talk about symmetry, 11 for 11 for 111 yards and 1 touchdown.
Well, you got to give it to the young guys of the Broncos. They've come out storming, and Olandis Gary just diving over the pile. Nobody there to hit him.
Elam for the point after. Well, the Jaguars may be 11-1, but Greasy is 11 for 11 for 111. And Denver is dominating early. The Broncos looking every bit like world champions, leading 14-0.
Broncos are making a pretty good statement right now, Al.
14-0, a near perfect first 14 and a half minutes, or 16 and a half minutes of the game, as this kick is run back by Reggie Barlow up to the 28-yard line. So the Jaguars 11-1, seeking a 10th straight win, trying to get on track, already trailing by 2 touchdowns. Trouble right now after yesterday's losses. This is James Stewart, stopped by Glenn Cadrez after he picks up 6. Let's get a report from Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, you saw a while ago where Mark Brunell was having trouble with his coach-to-quarterback communication system. This is Mark's backup helmet. He tried Jonathan Quinn's helmet at one point. They took the transmitter out of his backup helmet and they installed it in the helmet he is now wearing. And Al, I don't know how Boomer did this. These things are heavy.
You ever seen the size of my head, Leslie?
Double helmet. 2nd down and 5 from the 33. Brunell, pump fakes, throws, caught. That's a first down. Keenan McCardell with a first down up at the 42-yard line.
You know, you can watch Mark Brunell. Earlier in the season, I saw a guy that was struggling, that was grinding a little bit at the quarterback position. I see no panic in him. He's delivering the ball accurately the last 3 weeks, and right there you can see he's calm right now. And there should be no panic at all. They should up-tempo it a little bit, and there's Tony Baselli, his all-world left tackle, and start running behind him a little bit and made some yards.
From the 42-yard line on the first down, back to the ground they go. Stewart picks up 6, and we started to talk about Stewart before. What a great story he is. The #1 pick a few years back. Then he was hurt. Then Taylor, the new kid on the block, comes in, and Taylor has a spectacular season. And then Stewart, with resolve, comes back much earlier than Tom Coughlin thought he could. And now Taylor's got to fight to get his job back.
They expected him back in October, and he was back before that. The same injury that Terrell Davis has. So Terrell Davis, all he has to do is look across the sideline and look at this guy. And this is the formation that has really helped the Jacksonville offense, Al. The spread formation, no backs, and allow Mark Brunell to just pick and choose downfield.
2nd and 4. Brunell throws and nearly picked off. It's Glenn Cadrez, who had a spectacular Monday night game 3 weeks ago against Oakland, nearly picking that one off.
He loves Monday night. Before the game, he came up and gave me a big hug. I'm glad to see you. Every time we have him, he starts making plays. But right here, number 24, Chris Howard falls down. You see Howard right there on the ground, and Cadrez has a chance to make a play but doesn't come through. Unlike him on Monday night.
Monday night's made a few reputations, as you know, but we're both good and bad. 3rd down and 4 from the 48-yard line. McCardell in motion. Brunell stepping up, seeking the first down, has it as he steps out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Neil Smith almost sacked him. Brunell able to break out of Neil's grasp and pick up the first down.
Little plays by quarterbacks, little plays by good players on the field are what make the difference. And these are the things that he is starting to do now. He's back in the pocket, looking, realizes stepping up, get away from tacklers. You can see how strong he is. He's smart. He puts the ball away, gets out of bounds, and makes the first down.
At the 46-yard line. 11-10 left in the opening half. Pass caught by Jimmy Smith. And Smith having a fabulous season. He should be going to the Pro Bowl, tackled by Al Wilson, the rookie middle linebacker, and the #1 pick out of Tennessee.
Well, there are a whole bunch of guys that should be going to the Pro Bowl on this team after the last 12 games, and he's certainly coming into this game with 85 receptions. But when you look at those receivers in the AFC, Keyshawn Johnson, Marvin Harrison, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith, so many great players.
Jimmy, over the last 3 games, coming into tonight's game, had caught 29 passes. We saw 4 games with 10 or more receptions this season. This is Stewart. Stewart with a first down, taken down at the 30-yard line by Torrey James.
Sense that the Jacksonville offense is picking up the tempo and putting the pressure on that Denver defense. And right now, Tom Coughlin's calling the plays. He's mixing them in. Run, pass. Let's take a look at Tony Baselli right here against Monte Rieger, and you can see right there, look at how big his arms are, and that's how nasty, that's how you have to be as an offensive lineman. You have to be nasty. You don't have to take that from defense. And you can see that's why everybody loves Tony Baselli. He'll go after people.
Now Out of USC, first down at the 30-yard line as Brunell throws off his back foot, just has to heave it out of bounds as the pressure was on. Damon Jones, the nearest receiver. Second down and 10.
Al, I played with a great from USC. I played left tackle, Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz, and a quiet giant off the field, a true gentleman, and that's the way that Tony Baselli is. And when you got him on the field, all of a sudden something happened. And watch how this is how you pass block. You push, you get your hands out, you move your feet, and you just keep grinding. Keep that guy away from your quarterback any way you can.
Second down and 10 from the 30-yard line. They give it back to Stewart. Looking for room, no, and coming up from the corner to knock him down is Dale Carter. Good play by Carter, picked up offseason. Corner to knock him down is Dale Carter. Good play by Carter, picked up offseason.
Well, if you want to play in Greg Robinson's defense and you want to be a cornerback, you have to be a tough guy. You have to make tackles. He's going to ask you to take the place of a safety, and you can't back down. There are some cornerbacks in this league, Al, namely one down in Dallas that doesn't like to tackle, right?
Well, they barely go his way. He's also a receiver, as you know. We're talking about Dion, who caught 2 balls yesterday. Third and 11 from the 31-yard line. Brunell guns it over the middle, caught at the 23, and Jimmy Smith seeking the first down, very close. Tackled by Cadrez.
Oh, I don't know about that spot, Al.
Yeah, neither do I. I thought he was closer to a first down. He needed 11. And Jerry Austin, the referee, comes down, puts the ball outside the 20.
I don't know about that. Interesting dilemma. I think if I'm Tom Coughlin here, however, I go for it. It's so close, and your offense is moving the ball pretty much at will right here. Well, let's take a look at this now. There's Smith, and this is what great receivers do. They stay on their feet, and they reach, and they make first downs if they can.
And timeout is called by Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville thought they were going to measure, and they were angry about the fact there was no measurement, and they couldn't get the play off, so they also have to waste a timeout. You know, Boomer, upon further review, it's a good call. The knee goes down there, and that's where the point of the ball is, and it's spotted correctly, even though Coughlin hated the spot.
And he's yelling at Ron Baines, number 56, the line judge. He actually did a good job.
Meanwhile, Jacksonville will go for it on 4th and inches now from the 20-yard line, and Brunell will sneak it over the 20 for a first down. This is interesting, Boomer, in as much as in the Pittsburgh game, their last game on a Thursday 11 days ago, early in the game, they opted not to kick a field goal in a similar situation and wound up going into the touchdown.
This is something that Tom Coughlin's not really known for, you would think, but he knows that he's down 14-0. He has to get some of the momentum back, and you do it by doing this. Now, here they are on first down running their spread offense.
From the 19-yard line on first down, the defense spread against the spread offense. 4-man rush, and the pass is knocked away by Glenn Cadrez. Second time he's gotten his hands on a Brunell throw. Jimmy Smith, the intended receiver. I have voted several times. I am a registered voter.
Okay.
13th play of the drive coming. Second down and 10. And you know which way I voted.
I know which way you voted.
This is Stewart.
Oh, man.
Plowing inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. And Wayne Weaver, the owner of this team, the founder of the franchise, salutes that effort.
There's so much being written about James Stewart because he's not talking to the press down here. And they talk about how his silence is deafening because, you know, he has played really, really well. And Fred Taylor is a super back that they want to get in there. But this guy has done nothing but do what he's asked. And he's done it at a very high level. And there's Fred Taylor, number 28, the super back. And this man will be a free agent at the end of the season.
Third down and 3 from the 12-yard line. Pressure on Brunell, but he gets the pass away to Jimmy Smith, and Jimmy Smith has a first down at the 6-yard line. Torrey James with the coverage, but all he could do was force him out of bounds. First and goal for the Jags.
James Stewart made a nice block on that particular play. Al, one of the reasons that I bring up the fact that Stewart is a free agent, I had met a couple scouts here from other teams, and I can't tell you who they are, and they were saying they were here to look at James Stewart. He will be a free agent in the offseason, and I know that he's tops on a lot of people's lists.
Well, I mentioned before, Taylor has to fight to get his job back. There's no question Taylor has more speed, more talent. But you're right, Stewart can start for a lot of teams. First and goal from the 5-yard line. Purnell flushed out, throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Damon Jones. Jones is 6'5" and needed to be about 6'11".
Not a bad play by Mark. Just take a chance, throw it up there, see if your guy can get it. If he doesn't get it, goes out of bounds. You go back and start over again. No chance.
16th play of the drive coming up. From the 5, this time they come up in the eye. Stewart the tailback, a little toss to him. Behind Shelton, he goes, touchdown! Ben Coleman with the key block. 71-yard drive for Jacksonville.
Now it doesn't get any prettier than that. Just a toss sweep around the corner. Coleman, Boselli, and Jones all leading. Watch the left side of your line. Just pick out, and here comes number 31. Damon Shelton leading right through the middle. Perfectly drawn up and executed play by the offensive lineman and the fullback of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Officially a 72-yard drive for the Jags. Hollis for the point after. 16 plays. That consumes almost half the quarter. 7:25. That's Stewart's 12th rushing touchdown of the season. 14-7 Denver. 14-7, the Broncos lead, and Brian Griese will come out. Griese is 11 for his first 11 for 111 yards. You talk about a team that should go to Las Vegas to a crap table on a come-out roll right now with those numbers.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jacksonville has picked it up here a little bit. We'll see if he can continue that.
Lindsey kicks off, 3-yard line. Chris Watson, rookie from Eastern Illinois, up to the 28. Problem was, I was trying to get him home for the back end of the exacta, and they weren't responding.
Can we go back to that for one? I got to look at that picture for one moment. So maybe our guys can bring it back up. I guess they don't want to. Huh?
You just want to see me in a Bellman's uniform, right? Holding luggage.
Oh my goodness!
You can live out your fantasies. First and 10 from the 28-yard line. Griese. And Griese loses the football, but his arm was coming forward, and they're going to rule it an incomplete pass. He was in the grasp of Bryce Popp, and Jerry Austin is going to say what? Because he was whistling the play dead. And they're going to rule it an incomplete pass.
Actually, it does look like his arm was moving forward. It was a fortunate call, but they're showing it on the big screen here in the stadium.
Arm coming forward, they say.
Oh, I don't know.
Bryce Popp.
Well, they're going to beat Jerry
Bryce
Austin
Popp recovered it. Tony Brackens was the guy who created it.
That's definitely a fumble, Al.
Timeout. Jacksonville. That's their second.
Jacksonville is going to take a timeout. This is one of those plays where the whistle had blown, so the play should have been whistled dead. I think Coughlin is trying to challenge. Austin called it a timeout, but Coughlin perhaps is going to try to challenge. But if the whistle had blown and Austin had clearly signaled incomplete pass, it can't be challenged. Because remember, the whistle would have stopped the play.
Jacksonville has challenged the call on the field of an incomplete pass.
Well, if they're challenging it, so Jerry, how you gonna resolve this at the end? If it's an incomplete pass and you've whistled the play dead, and this is what Shanahan's talking to the head linesman about, what's the challenge? Then there is no challenge. So I don't know what in the world they're doing.
And that's what he should say.
Well,
but if it's an incomplete pass and he's saying it's an incomplete pass, Al,
exactly,
that means the play is stopped.
Well, the NFL is now telling us from the replay booth there's no confirmation the play was whistled dead. But if there's no confirmation, then what in the world is Austin doing signaling incomplete pass? What are you doing, signaling incomplete pass with no whistle? Well, I mean, we're getting real here. I mean, this is like you're talking about revisionist history and process in progress.
Well, the interesting now, what does Jerry Austin say? Well, I mean,
yeah, I want to. This is
what he should be saying is, I ruled incomplete pass, play is over, play is dead.
Right. He's going to see. I mean, if the whistle hadn't blown, you could rule it a fumble. It would be ruled as a fumble and a recovery by Jacksonville if the whistle had not blown. But if Austin's going to contend he didn't blow the whistle but signaled incomplete pass, that's a phony deal. Because if you're signaling incomplete, you have to blow the whistle.
That's exactly right. There are flaws.
Yes, there are. Well, this is just rules interpretation. This is very simple.
That's clearly a fumble. That ball was clearly out before Brian Griese's arm was moving forward. Now, let's see if we can get Jerry Austin in the shot.
Well, I don't know if we have a shot. You will see Austin. Austin's going to signal at a point, incomplete pass. All right, that's picked up by Pop. And so if he doesn't blow the whistle, he's signaling incomplete pass. So it is. It's a contradiction. It's a contradiction. A total contradiction on Austin's part. All right, watch the play. Do we see Austin coming into the picture? Here he comes at some point. Incomplete. There he is. He's signaling incomplete pass. He's already completed the signal at that point. So what in the world is he going to do here? Jerry, it's not reviewable. It's real simple.
I don't know why they're not telling him that.
This is
after reviewing the play. The play is a fumble. But by rule.
But by rule what?
But by rule. The ball is blown dead at the spot where it hits the ground. It will be second down at the 20.5-yard line.
Because nobody had recovered the fumble at the time the whistle had blown.
And now everybody's confused. Al, you can see it on the faces of the players, the coaches. Everybody's confused out there.
Well, the bottom line is, if it's ruled an incomplete pass, which it clearly was, it's not reviewable to begin with.
When the play is signaled incomplete and the whistle is blown, the ball is dead.
Thank you.
So it's dead at the spot where it hit the ground. Second down. Jacksonville is not charged a timeout.
Aloha.
So they get the ruling that it's a fumble, but they don't get the ball.
Well, first of all, it shouldn't have been reviewed.
Right.
I mean, it's real simple. I don't want to beat this to death here, but the minute it's signaled an incomplete pass, it's not reviewable. Now, is Jacksonville, now Coughlin's going to say, are we going to forfeit a timeout too?
No, they just said they gave the timeout back to him. The timeout is not charged. And if there's a guy that knows the rules better than Tom Coughlin, I want you to show me. He came into our meeting yesterday with a book that had to be about 5 inches thick, and I'm sure it had every rule in there, every offensive formation.
Yeah.
There's not a better guy in the NFL prepared or organized than him.
In effect, Coughlin's saying, what in the hell are you doing reviewing a play that's not reviewable?
And usually when coaches argue like this, they know they're right. They will not argue to such extent when they know that they're right, like this.
In the meantime, let's see, where are we in this game? It's 14-7 Broncos. It's going to be second down.
17.
Well, that was a first down play, right?
Right, so it's second
so
and 17.
long ago. Well, if it's an incomplete pass.
But they're ruling that it was a fumble.
What now? I give up here. This is the Keystone Cops.
Well, you know what's going to end up happening? He's probably going to end up coming out and say, "Well, you ruled it an incomplete pass. It can't be a fumble." That's what's probably going to happen. Now they're going to move the ball back up.
The reason the play was not reviewable is Austin calls it an incomplete pass. Clearly, it's signaled that way. It shouldn't have been reviewed to begin with. The ball should be at the 28-yard line. It should be 2nd and 10. Meanwhile,
back at the ranch.
There's a question about the down. It is 2nd down. Jacksonville is charged for timeout because they called a timeout.
Wait a minute. They called a timeout. They didn't call a timeout. They challenged it. This is the goofiest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
What nonsense. And that's why Coughlin is furious. 2nd down and 17. This is Lavelle. Again, think about how stupid this was. It's ruled incomplete. It shouldn't be reviewed. Coughlin is buzzing for a replay. They accept the challenge. They don't take a timeout away from the challenge, but they take a timeout away because they said they called a timeout.
And what he's saying that Jacksonville called timeout before they tried to challenge him. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, well, basically. Can you believe Tom Coughlin would call a timeout before a challenge in that circumstance?
No.
Absolutely not.
But he's saying that he actually called a timeout and that they're separate events.
3rd down and 17 from the 21-yard line. Greasy throws. That's tipped and incomplete. And that is officially his first incomplete pass because the other was ruled a quasi-fumble or something. Tony Brackens.
Well, instant replay was not supposed to disrupt the flow of a football game, but unfortunately in this case it did.
One thing, Boomer, it makes for great television.
It sure does, and you can argue about anything, Al.
Tom Ruin to punt. On 4th and 17, Reggie Barlow is back to accept the kick. And it's fair caught at the 37-yard line. Jacksonville gets it. 5:02 left in the half. 14-7 Broncos. So the saga continues. The officials are telling us through replay that the Jaguars called a timeout. Take a look here. One of the reasons they are calling a timeout here, and they're telling us before the challenge, is that the defense probably thinks the offense should be on the field to begin with at this point.
So they're confused.
They're confused.
The officials are confused.
Exactly. Meanwhile, from the 43-yard line, here's Brunell back to pass on 1st down, going deep. There's all kinds of contact. Is there a flag? No. They're going to say incidental, intended for McCardell, covered by Dale Carter. 2nd down and 10. And Tom Coughlin with a very stern look, and you can certainly understand it, Boomer.
Oh, absolutely, I understand that. And you can see right here, McCardell actually gets on top of Carter. Look at Carter grab McCardell in the back right there and get away with that. I don't know what game these guys are watching.
2nd down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Stewart swings to the outside and picks up about 8. One out by Al Wilson.
Ultimately, that didn't end up hurting because Minnesota got a touchdown anyway, but tonight this has been a travesty.
1st down.
And then he actually placed it where the fumble was. If there's a fumble, somebody has to recover it, don't they?
Exactly. Brunell throws, and that's caught on the sidelines. Incomplete. 2nd down and 10. So maybe there's some hybrid rule.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that Bryce Popp recovered the fumble.
Right.
And there was nobody else around him.
It should have been a fumble had there been no signal for an incomplete pass. And it's funny because at first I think we were being told, and Kenny Wolf in contact, they were saying that the whistle perhaps had not blown, but we were told during preseason we had a similar situation. If there's a signal, it's the equivalent of a whistle
being blown.
Right. So that's a phony excuse. second down and 10 at the 49-yard line. Stewart. Big hole, runs into his own man Barlow, and then gets forced out of bounds at the 34-yard line off a Ben Coleman block.
What a terrific block by Ben Coleman as he comes pulling around the corner of Baselli as well. Ben Coleman, 6'5", 335 pounds, coming around the corner. And Mark Brunell audibling to this play because he's reading the defense. Now watch big old Ben Coleman come around the corner looking for Wilson in the middle, and there he is. He finds him, knocks him down. And Stewart makes a nice run.
First and 10, the ball at the 34-yard line. Stewart again, stopped by Ma'a Tanovasa.
I was talking to Tony Baselli last week, Al, and I had asked him, I said, you know, you guys are playing well in the offensive line, and I think he sometimes gets embarrassed with all the accolades that are thrown his way. He was telling me that Leon Searcy's playing great, Ben Coleman's playing great, that I really feel like this could be one of the best offensive lines in football, and it's certainly showing itself that way in the last few weeks.
That is James Stewart, who is Fred Taylor, who's been in and out of the lineup all season with a hamstring pull, comes back in.
These guys just keep waiting for each other to get hurt to make their own opportunities, and it's gone on since last year. Stewart, the first 2 weeks of the season, 100-yard games, blows out his knee. Fred Taylor comes in, has a great rookie season, and then all of a sudden the roles are reversed this year.
And who has the look for the holidays? J.C. Penney, give the look. And that's a great ovation for a guy who's just done a fabulous job for this team. James Stewart, and the crowd just saluting him for his resolve and for the season he's having more than anything else right now.
And being a great team player, Al, he has not complained once down here. And take a look at these yards here in the second quarter by Jacksonville taking over here.
Second down and 7 from the 31-yard line. Brunell pump fakes and has to throw it away. Third down. Pressure put on by Tanovasa and Price.
Well, there he is. And one of the interesting things, Al, is in this league and in the 90s of the me athlete and all the guys that want the accolades and pump their chest when they make it just a basic play, this guy has really come through to really show everybody truly what sportsmanship is and being a great teammate's all about. He's having a good night again tonight.
Third down and 7, the ball at the 31-yard line. Broncos begin to show blitz, and Jacksonville takes a TO.
Timeout, Jacksonville.
And they are out of timeouts. They shouldn't be, but they are. 2:44 to the half.
You're just not going to let it go, are you? He had one timeout left, and he took it in a very critical situation right here. So a smart play by Mark Brunell.
Third and 7, Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator.
Oh, and he can bring blitzes from everywhere. The first row, the second row, they're coming out of the secondary, zone blitzes, max blitzes, all of it.
Right now with 4 down linemen.
Here they come.
8 guys in the box. Taylor in the game. Out of the shotgun, they're only going to rush 4. And it is through the hands of Taylor. And Taylor, adding insult to injury or whatever you want to call it, gets whacked by Romanowski.
Welcome back, Fred. So you're the guy that we're supposed to be afraid of, huh? Just a little delay pattern over the middle, and not a great throw by Mark Brunell, but what a hit by Romanowski. You know, when he gets there, he arrives in a bad mood, and he brings the pop to the party, as they say, Al.
And not Price either. 49-yard field goal attempt from Mike Hollis. Bangs it through. Hollis told me before the game he wears a size 7.5 shoe on his left foot and a size 6 on his right foot. Percentage leader. He has a punter who might go to the Pro Bowl.
And a punt returner who might go to the
Pro Bowl. Apart from that, we stink. At least this week. Here's Watson. And back to accept it is Billy Miller, a wideout by trade. brings it back up to the 26-yard line.
Lesson right here for Brian Griese, a 2-minute drill at the end of the half. Take a look at these numbers: 11 for 12, 111 yards. Whew. He's passed with flying colors so far, but let's see if he can manufacture some points here in a 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Griese throws on first down, and it is caught by Byron Chamberlain, making the catch. Dragged down by Kevin Hardy.
You talk about Pro Bowl players. This guy right here could be the defensive MVP in the NFL, the way he's playing, along with Brackens, their defensive end.
Hardy, their #1 pick, came from Illinois in 1996.
Same team as Simeon Rice, the Arizona Cardinals, the sack master.
2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go in the half. Good half. 14-10.
It's been an interesting half.
Pretty fascinating half.
One of the things that I like about Brian Griese is that he's decisive right now. He's planting that back foot. He's making his decision, and he's throwing it, and he's accurate. When he gets in trouble is when he's indecisive and he doesn't get rid of the ball quickly enough. That's to all quarterbacks.
Second down and 3 from the 33-yard line. Griese throws. Intercepted by Aaron Beasley. Ed McCaffrey tackles him, and the Jaguars with a big turnover late in the first half.
Well, Al, I just got telling you how accurate Brian Griese was, and on this particular pass, he threw the ball behind McCaffrey and allowed Beasley to get underneath and make the interception. He's got to throw it out in front, and you can see how far behind he throws the ball, and Beasley just makes the play. Ooh, he's just got to put it out in front of McCaffrey and let him go get it. He's got a clear lane to throw it, and it's just a bad throw.
5th interception of the season for Beasley. Jacksonville does not have a timeout. First and 10 at the 37-yard line. And Stewart back in the game. And a first down as he takes it to the 26-yard line. So shaken up with Stewart. Back he comes, an 11-yard pickup.
And here's Beasley making like he just made the play of the year, but he was actually beaten, and he should go over and thank Brian Griese for throwing a poor ball.
Minute and a half left. Low snap. Picked up by Brunell. Fires over the middle and incomplete. And McCardell, and a flag is thrown. He was draped by Ray Crockett, who's saying, "You got to be kidding me."
Now, he was on him, and he was on him too quickly.
Pass interference. Defense, number 39, automatic first down.
Definitely the right call. Hard spot in the field for DP to cover because he's got a two-way go, the inside receiver. And McCardell, one of the great things about him is the way that he runs routes. And he's able to set guys up. But watch this right here. Crockett gets there too early right there. Good call by the official. And a good route by McCardell.
At the 9-yard line. Goal action up front. Trevor Price came across the line. Induced or not induced?
That is the question.
That is the question.
Encroachment on the defensive tackle. Half the distance to the goal. It's still first down.
Not induced is the answer.
It's amazing how in the NFL, within about a 30-second period of time, how things can shift so quickly and what turnovers do to you. And you're seeing right here what a turnover by the Broncos has done within the last 2 minutes of this football game. And take a look what Jacksonville has done this quarter because of that turnover.
First and goal now from the 4. Stewart barrels his way to about the 2.5. Al Wilson is there for the hit. And there's flags in the end zone now. After the play, skirmish.
And I was talking about how mean and nasty Tony Piselli can be. He was driving his guy out of bounds, Al.
Driving him into the seats.
I think it was Dale Carter, actually. Let's take a look at here. Watch number 71. Here he comes.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 39 of the defense.
He's got Ray Crockett. He's actually holding him. He's got Ray Crockett. Let's take a look at this.
Right, he's got Crockett by the shirt.
Crockett's got him by the face mask. And Crockett was just a little upset. Ooh.
It moves the ball inside the 2, so it's at the 1-yard line. The Jaguars this season, when they've had the ball at the 1, they have scored every time. First and goal from the 1. And no gain there, Stewart. When you go back to last year, every time the Jaguars have had the ball at the 1, they have scored 17 consecutive times.
It's a tremendous statistic, and it shows you how good their offensive line is and how smart their quarterback is. And right now, remember, they have no timeouts left. They're kind of getting in and out of the huddle very quickly. 45 seconds to go here. You can do that when you have a nice veteran quarterback that understands how to manage a football game.
Second and goal, Brunell play fake, throws, and that's incomplete. Into traffic, dangerous throw for Damon Jones. Third down.
Well, if he would have thrown it quicker to Damon Jones, he would have had an easy touchdown. He was looking for his fullback, actually his halfback, James Stewart, in the flat in front of him, and Jones snuck out behind him and was wide open. He just waited too long. Watch Jones here. He goes down and then kind of sneaks out, and there he is, wide open. Throw it now. He's just waiting too long and then tries to throw back against the grain.
Third down and goal from the 1. Stewart again. Gets into the end zone. Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars, until tonight, had never so much as trailed by 14 points, and there's a reason they're 11-1, and you're watching it in the second quarter.
And now where do they run? They go over Tony Piselli and Ben Coleman on the left side, and you got guys that big and that strong playing that well. Now you know why they score all those times when they're on the 1-yard line.
Mike Hollis for the point after. 17 unanswered points, and the Jaguars have the lead by 3.
Take a look at this. Watch how the offensive linemen get underneath the defensive lineman. Damon Jones does a nice job. Number 88 is collapsing down the defensive line, and all Stewart has to do is find the crease. Boy, it'd be great to have a guy like that on your team that you can just always count on, and he's so soft-spoken for such a big man, Al. And when you talk to Tony Piselli, you can't imagine. I mean, you see him and you say, wow, he's tremendous, but he's so soft-spoken. Then when he gets out on the field, something happens to him.
Well, in the 1990s, when you look at the draft, there are only 2 guys, 2 offensive linemen who have been drafted first or second overall. Piselli, who was the second guy picked in the 95 draft, and the other was Orlando Pace, the St. Louis tackle, picked number 1 in 97.
Well, take a look at that arm, and he's pointing at guys and pointing them out, and we can do this. Let's go. He's yelling at his wide receivers. You got to love that stuff.
Hey, Boomer, maybe the key to a success is to draft a lineman first.
He's got the ugliest shoulder pads I've ever seen, though, you know? He doesn't even wear shoulder pads. Look at that.
Showing off those biceps.
Looks like a guy from the 50s.
Yes. With that James Dean look. Taken at the 11-yard line by Billy Miller. And he brings it up to the 39-yard line with 22 ticks left. What's coming up at the half? Here's Chris Berman. Low flying pucks.
That was Baby, I was in a celebrity hockey game with Cuba Gooding Jr. to my left, John Saunders to my right, and we were playing for the Rangers and the Christopher Reeve Foundation.
You're kidding me. You're in hockey. Do you believe in miracles?
Yes, I do.
No. Here's Greasy throwing, and it's caught in Jacksonville territory by McCaffrey.
Timeout.
They have timeouts remaining, and they'll use one here at the 43-yard line with 14 ticks. They have one left.
Well, you know, they have nothing to lose right here. And this is exactly what you want to do. And let's see what he can do in this situation. And what I like about this, he came back, delivered a nice ball, and immediately turned around to the official that's standing closest to him, which is the referee, Brian Greasy does, and calls timeout. So many times I see quarterbacks kind of disjointed and looking for, you know, an official to call timeout to, but the quarterback just turn around to the official right behind you, the referee, and say, hey, timeout.
Boomer, normally you'd say a team would need a few more yards. Last year, to be in field goal range, remember it was Elam against Jacksonville in Denver before the half, who kicked a 63-yarder to tie Tom Dempsey's record. So if they don't gain a yard here, Elam will attempt a 60 or 61-yarder. He's ready.
Oh, he's always ready. He had a great kick against Oakland on our last Monday night game.
Tied the game at the end of regulation, and then the Broncos beat the Raiders in overtime. Greasy hit as he throws, it wobbles, it's picked off. It is picked off by Brant Boyer. Kevin Hardy, and we talked about the year he is having, should get an assist. Like Gretzky setting up somebody scoring the goal, it was Hardy who bangs into Greasy, and the payoff to Boyer.
Now they just bring Kevin Hardy on a blitz. Nobody's there to pick him up. He comes flying through the middle, and this is better than a sack because it causes a turnover. Watch him. Here he comes. Nobody's there, and bang! Now that's how you deliver a blow and you cause an interception. Not Brian Greasy's fault. Nothing he can do. It's just a great play and a great defensive call by Tom Capers.
The half will end on a kneel down. Brant Boyer has been in the league 6 years out of Arizona. It's his first interception, and he did it on Monday Night Football.
Smart guy.
Good half. Real good half. In Jacksonville, a halftime score, the Jaguars 17 and the Denver Broncos 14. Lex's halftime show coming up, and we'll come back after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC station. Here in Jacksonville, it has begun to sprinkle. There was a 50% chance of rain, and some of the ponchos coming out. Mike Shanahan putting on a jacket as well. And there is indisputable visual evidence that we have rain.
No replay necessary.
Right, no timeout charge. Kickoff is fielded by Reggie Barlow at the 5. And he gets cracked at the 23-yard line. Leslie, what do you have?
Al, it's more than a sprinkle. Well, Mike Shanahan said we started the first half with a long drive. That's what we've got to do the second half. As for Tom Coughlin, he said they rebounded by tightening up the coverage underneath and putting more pressure on Brian Greasy. As for the instant replay snafu, he said that is why instant replay was instituted. It was to correct a wrong. He said that play was whistled dead. It was not reviewable, and it ought to be addressed, Al.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it will be addressed, Al.
It will be addressed. There's no question about it. They screwed it up royally. It's as simple as that. At the 23-yard line, first down. And here is Stewart with an 8-yard pickup to the 31. And then just the postscript on that, Boomer, not to, again, we went through this in the first half, but the bottom line was the play should have been the reviewable play, should have been dead as an incomplete pass, and the ball should have been back at the original line of scrimmage, second down.
Well, this has really been a tale of two quarters with the Jaguars basically owning the second quarter, and the Broncos coming out flying in the beginning of the game. But now all of a sudden Jacksonville is settled in and they're starting to control the football game.
Second and a short 2, and this is Stewart. Loses the football. That's loose. And who else but Tony Pacelli all over the joint. Pacelli has normally taken his guy about 6 yards downfield, so the only oddity here, Boomer, is that he's in the backfield.
Well, what a great play by Traylor to pull the ball out of Stewart's hands. Take a look at Tony Pacelli right here, and you can see, look at that. It's adding insult to injury right there. Now he's going against number 98, Ahmad Tanavasa, and here he's going against Kadrez. You can see how many different things that an offensive tackle is asked to do. He's not just there to pass block, but sometimes he's got to get tackle, sometimes it's ends, sometimes it's linebacker.
And he keeps possession here. 3rd down and 6, and Brunell lost it. Incomplete, intended for Barlow, who looks around for a flag, and that's wishful thinking. He was covered by Dale Carter.
And now when you have a guy like a Boselli or an Anthony Munoz, it just makes everybody on the line that much better. His practice habits, his study habits, all the things, all the intangibles that he brings to your football team as a leader, and it just picks up everybody else around you. So what a great draft pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
4th and 6. Chris Watson back for kick. Watson from the 24 brings it back to the 34-yard line. 13:15 left in the 3rd quarter in Jacksonville. The Jaguars 17 and the Broncos 14. Here is the freshman running back for the Broncos, Olandis Gary, up to the 41. Gary is used to playing on this field because he played at Georgia, and they play the annual Georgia-Florida game right here.
You could say the same thing about Mike Shanahan, couldn't you, Al?
You could, and Shanahan, the offensive coordinator for Florida years ago. And Shanahan has watched Gary, a guy he inactivated the first 4 games this year because of Terrell Davis, obviously, really emerged.
He really has, and he's made a statement, and he's made a name for himself.
Makes a further statement right here. Breaking tackles, chugging his way to the Jacksonville 45. Got out of Tony Bracken's grasp. First down, Denver. 14 yards.
And every week I tell you that these films, these game films get tossed around the NFL. Player personnel guys, scouts, everybody's looking for players. And when you have 2 players, and now at the backfield like the Broncos have with Olandis Gary and Terrell Davis, you wonder, could Olandis Gary become a trade bait? Would he be something in the offseason for extra draft choices? You never know.
1st and 10, the ball at the 46 with McCaffrey in motion. Gary to the other side this time, but they string it out. Does the defense, and Fernando Bryant, their number 1 draft choice, the rookie corner from Alabama, comes up for the hit.
Interesting thing about Fernando Bryant, everybody here says he's one of the best cover men that they've ever seen, and heaping high praise on this rookie. And reading this week where he was quoted as saying that this could be a dynasty happening down here in Jacksonville. Man, you've only played 12 games. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, kid.
Hey, Boomer, you know what a dynasty is these days, right? 3 wins in a row. 2nd down and 12 at the 49. Greasy flips it, and it's through the hands of Dwayne Carswell. Well, Dwayne looking for a dry ball and got a wet one. Right through his hands.
That's a nice throw. Quarterback needs help, and right here, Brian throws a nice catchable football. You should try to catch it with your hands as opposed to your arms.
3rd down and 12.
Why you have hands is to use them.
Yes. Greasy now 13 of 17 for 138 yards. Runs it over the middle, and McCaffrey makes the catch at the 36-yard line, and I believe he has the first down, and he's shaken at the end of the play. Dave Thomas with the coverage. And it will be a first down. And McCaffrey will gingerly walk off. Bubby Bristol looking on.
Bubby Bristol just hoping they didn't have to take the coat off. This is raining and wet. But a nice catch by McCaffrey, and another good throw by Brian Greasy. in a tough situation, keep the chains moving, give your offense more opportunities.
Tight set, 3 tight ends here. Through the middle goes Gary. And Olandis is taken down at the 31-yard line after a pickup of 4.
And now, as I was walking around schmoozing before the game on the field,
yes,
I was watching you schmooze too, but I was talking to a couple of the players. You were talking to ownership types. I was trying to get the dirt on the teams, but talking to Glenn Cadrez, he was telling me that, hey, look, man, we have a heart of a champion here. This is not going to be a rollover game for us. That's not the way we think of ourselves. We have a great deal of pride in what we're trying to do, and I think we're seeing that in the Broncos.
Second down and 6, and this is Olandis Gary taken down after a gain of 2.
Because when you're literally not playing for something, it's easy to lay down. And we've seen teams in the past few weeks lay down. Basically lay down and quit. And this team has not quit, and they're continuing to play hard. And I think it's a testament to, and there is Glenn Cadrez with the, maybe he is quitting. I don't know if he's got the talent in his head, but a testament to Mike Shanahan and the coaching staff to keeping these guys on edge.
Well, you're right. You said it 3 weeks ago in Oakland. In a way, it could be Shanahan's best shot.
And when you lose all those players and you have to replace a legend in John Elway, not easy.
Third down and 4 from the 29-yard line. Whistle before the snap. And Mike, look, any coach that's 4-8, he's going to get heat and all that. You know, they mock him.
It's a little ridiculous out in Denver at times. They call him the mastermind, the genius.
Number 77, 5 yards. It's still third down.
Tony Jones.
And they do it in a condescending way.
Right, they mock it.
Right. The one thing I'm sure that he would tell you is just how important John Elway was to this team. You know, they would send plays in, and there's Pat Bowlen, the owner of the Denver Broncos. You can see the rain. There's Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator. And you have a guy like John Elway on the field. Well, he might change plays. He might say, I don't want that play. Give me another play. And just kind of smooth everything over. But when you're doing it with a young quarterback who's taking time out now, these are some of the problems that you have to fight through, and that's exactly what the Denver Broncos have been fighting through this year.
And right now they spend their first time out of the half. It'll be third down and 9 when play resumes. 9:01 left in the third quarter. Florida 17-14 Jacksonville. Telecast will begin with Faith Hill singing the national anthem before the game, and then we'll have at it for the Super Bowl 34 title as Greasy throws, and it is knocked down by Beasley, who had the early interception on a pass intended with Smith and McCaffrey both in the neighborhood.
He actually could have had another one there. A poor throw by Brian Greasy once again. Now he's moving to his left. His feet are not set. And Beasley's trailing underneath. And Beasley's smart because he has help over the top, and he can get underneath McCaffrey. And you can see right there that Brian Greasy's feet are not set, and Beasley's playing underneath Rod Smith, excuse me.
Now they will not send Elam in for a 53-yard game-tying field goal attempt. Instead, ruined the pooch punt. And that dog had a little too much bark. That pooch was a Rottweiler. Touchback. 8:47 left in the third. First down for the Jaguars at the 20-yard line. They're up by 3. 8:47 left in the third quarter in the rain in Jacksonville. Brunell rolling, chased by Price, and chases him out of bounds. Loss of 1. The Jaguars, a lot of reasons for their success this year, but one that sometimes gets overlooked is starting field position, both offensively and defensively. This is a pretty good quinella. Their opponent's drive start at their own 26-yard line on average. The Jaguars begin their drive at their own 34-yard line. And there it is, very similar tonight. And it may not, it's a kind of an abstract concept, but coaches understand it, teams understand it, and it's very, very important over the course of the season. And this is Stewart back to the original line of scrimmage. And Boomer, if you think about it, if the difference is 8 yards between the offense and defense, and there are about 12 possessions in the game, you're talking about 96 yards a game difference, and Stewart is hurt again.
I know. Now, here we go. Here's the math class for the evening.
Okay, there you go. So
8 yards per drive times 12 drives per game.
Right.
And 96 yards per game times 12 times
this season. It's the equivalent of having a guy pick up 1,152 yards. But Coughlin,
you're alluding to the fact that we talked to Coughlin last night, and he was telling us how important that is to his football team.
Right. He loved it. Stewart shaken. Injury timeout. James Stewart. The good news is it's not the knee bone. They're taking the shoe and
they take the shoe off. It usually means that it's around the ankle. And Trevor Price caught him from behind and looked like he landed on his foot. So it could be an ankle or a foot.
Fred Taylor is in the game now. 3rd down and 10. Brunell out of the shotgun. And it's a low throw with a wet football.
Wet and windy, Al, and they're throwing into the wind right there, and you could see, at least we could see from up here, that this rain is coming down in sheets now.
Coming right to left as we look at the field.
This is Trevor Price right here holding on to James Stewart, and looks like he falls right on his left foot or left ankle.
To punt. Brian Barker sends it toward Chris Watson. Looks up into the moisture and hauls it in. Gets a block. And brings it back all the way up to the 44-yard line. And that's where the Broncos will begin this drive, trailing. This is Gary. And the Vikings will go into that one as there goes Stewart back to the locker room. We'll get a report. They added the Viking woes, Chris Carter with an ankle injury last night and will probably be listed as doubtful, if not out, for this week's game.
Well, Randy Moss had a chance to make some plays in our game against Tampa, and also again last night had a great punt return, but fumbled inside their red zone against Kansas City, and he's going to be asked to do even more now.
2nd down and 8 from the 46-yard line. Greasy throws, caught by Smith, tries to pick up the 1st down. He gets wrestled down by Fernando Bryan, and there's a marker thrown.
I think you can get offensive pass interference against Smith right here for pushing off.
Yep.
Pass interference. Number 80 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
You know, Al, I don't know about this, though, because when you watch it, you see how these guys are entangled, and you know the defender is actually trying to hold up Smith right here. Take a look at this. Now, I don't know what Smith is supposed to do right here. I mean, if Bryant goes to grab him, he's got to get away from him somehow.
Seen that play 10,000 times. That's not interference.
Well, tonight it is. A lot of things going on here tonight, Al.
Well, one thing that's not going on is any penalties against Jacksonville to this point. All 6 penalties in the game that have been assessed are against Denver. 2nd down and 18. Greasy stepping away and then throws incomplete. Avoided the sack and then was able to throw it away incomplete. Grant Boyer put the initial pressure on.
Greasy's pass incomplete. 3rd down, Broncos.
3rd down and 18. Greasy began the night in perfect style. 11 for his first 11 on 2 long drives. Right now, 14 of 20. So he's 3 for his last 9.
Well, I think weather has to do a little bit of something, and so has the intensity of the Jacksonville defense.
3rd down and 18.
Well, you got him.
Throwing on the run, and wide open is Smith, and he gets a block as well, and he takes it to the Jacksonville 36-yard line. So he bought time. Smith slow in getting back up. Greasy knew exactly where the line of scrimmage was as he approached it on the scramble, stopped just shy of it, and completes a 28-yard pass for a big 1st down.
Al, instincts and smarts. He gets out around the corner. Now, between he and Smith is number 51, Hardy. And Hardy is so bent on going up and making a tackle that he leaves Smith wide open. And all Greasy has to do is loop it over his head, and there's Smith. A nice play by Brian Greasy.
Travis McGriff comes in at wide out, replacing Smith. Gary. Flag is thrown at the 40.
And you'll have holding this time on the actually tripping against the Jaguars.
2 minutes.
Tripping, number 95 of the defense, 10 yards, first down.
Bryce Pop. Actually, what happens is Bryce Pop comes in, gets blocked by the fullback. Take a look at this. Here's Bryce Pop right here. Now watch how he tries to make this tackle. There's Griffith going down, and I don't know about that. Smart play by Bryce Pop. I will tell you that he probably tried to do that, but that was pretty inadvertent the way it looks.
Yep. First penalty against the Jaguars tonight. And on first down, Gary runs into traffic at the 27, tackled by Schmengi. Obviously one of their key guys. Their next game in 6 days, there he was a couple of minutes ago. Jacksonville goes to Cleveland on Sunday, then a big one at Tennessee the following Sunday, and they end their year here against Cincinnati. Second down and 10. That's Griffith making the catch, and in the open field, Fernando Bryant with the tackle.
Nice tackle by Bryant. Again, another one of these cornerbacks that has to be able to make the tackle on the fullbacks. Hit him right in the legs, and you can see right there he's a little woozy. This is the way you tackle these fullbacks in this league. Go right for their knees. It's best to hit them when they're not looking.
Gary Kubiak, offensive coordinator, pacing third down and 8 for the Broncos at the 26. A little over 4 minutes to go in the third. Jaguars up by 3. Greasy, a little flip over the middle, but shy of the first down, and a flag comes in at the end. Smith makes the catch. Kevin Hardy with the tackle. And the call is a face mask, and that's going to be a first down.
Face mask, number 51 of the defense, 5 yards. Repeat, third down.
Take a look at this right here. You can see Hardy right there. Whoa. That's 5 yards?
Well, yeah, I mean...
That should be 15.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why I said it was going to be a first down. That's not a garden variety face mask. What else is new? That is the type of play that can't be reviewed. Except in this game, we don't know. So they call it a garden variety face mask.
That was anything but a garden variety face mask.
Exactly, which means it's not a first down, it's 3rd and 2 instead. From the 19, a fumble. Greasy's 14th of the season, and at least he is able to recover his own fumble, and they can set up an Elam attempt to tie the game.
Not easy in these conditions, but you have to stay with your center. I'm not so sure that it wasn't the center that made the inadvertent snap, and the fumble really shouldn't be attached to the quarterback. Well, let's take a look at this here. No, it's right there. It looked like it. You have to stay in there, and you have to stay tight, especially when the conditions are like this.
This is a 40-yard field goal attempt for Jason Elam in the rain and the wind. He's kicking with the wind. And he could have made that one from
how good is
55.
He doesn't need the wind.
He may be winning another trip back to the Pro Bowl. He played at Hawaii, and that ties the game, 17 all. Cameraman extraordinaire, braving the elements here in Jacksonville with the game tied at 17. Denver to kick off. And it's fielded at the 11-yard line by Reggie Barlow. Barlow brings it back out to the 33. Leslie, what you got?
Al, as you know, Shannon Sharp is an unrestricted free agent after this year. He said that even though he only caught 23 balls, he thinks he'll be in big demand. He won't rule out staying in Denver, but he told me before the game at least 4 teams interest him. Kansas City, Seattle, Green Bay, and the Giants, where his old offensive coordinator at Denver, Jim Fossil, is the coach. Al?
Shannon Sharp thinks that he's going to be in high demand. Newsflash. Which one of the Sharp brothers never thinks that they're going to be in high demand, right?
True.
I mean, that's just the way it is in that family.
Well, yes, Sterling was forced into retirement because of an injury. Shannon with a collarbone out for the year, and Brunell gets sacked back at the 29 by Trevor Price. That is his third sack of the night.
Not only is it he also knocked out James Stewart, so what kind of game is he having?
Price is right.
Price is right tonight. And just to go back to Shannon Sharp for a moment, he is a unique player, Al, and he is so difficult to defend. And he creates so many matchup problems for defenses on first and second down. And he will be in demand. He is an explosive football player and would be a great addition to anybody's offense.
Second and 13. Brunell throwing off his back foot, and that one will wind up on the bench. And Brunell will wind up on his backside. Third and long. But he gets tackled at the 41, shy of the first by a deuce, and into punt comes Barker.
And this is why I say when you look at these records and opponents' winning percentages out, sometimes it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, are they battle tested? I mean, every time you step on the field on Sunday, you are battle tested on Monday night, and especially when you're playing against teams like the Denver Broncos, whose record doesn't really truly indicate how good they are, especially on defense.
Fourth down and 2, Barker punting, Watson back to return it. Short kick, low kick, fumbled. Nothing but teal shirts down there for the moment, and then a scramble at the 10-yard line. And the Broncos optimistic they recovered it, and they did. It was stripped by Renee Stewart. Watson couldn't get a handle on it, and then somehow, with all of the Jaguars converging on the football, David Bowens winds up with the ball.
Well, if you're Watson and the weather is like it is, you have to be careful. You have to make sure that you have the ball in your hands, and you have to know that the defense and the special teams, the people that are trying to tackle you, are going to be stripping the ball. If you're a defensive player right now, the emphasis is just that. Go after the football and knock it loose.
Denver from the 11-yard line. First down. Gary. Give them some breathing space. Gain of 2. Second and 8. Spengy and Payne in on the hit.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, the PA announcer Joel Smengy.
Well, everybody in the crowd yelled Smengy with him.
Yeah, they love to say that name. Been around a long time. Started with the Saints. Second and 8. That's another fumble. And it's back at the 9-yard line. That's actually his third fumble of the night. Remember, they had the bogus fumble on the hybrid replay decision. Then they had the other fumble leading to the Elam field goal. And now this one.
You want to drive a coach crazy? Just keep doing this, and you'll find yourself in practice on Wednesday doing 100 snaps with your center before practice. Kind of like you get put in detention.
That's the end of the third quarter. Denver 17, Jacksonville 17. Monday Night Football back from Florida after this one on ABC station. Al Michaels with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser in Jacksonville. The fourth quarter begins. The game is tied. It is third down and 12 for the Broncos. And the pass is tipped. A flag is thrown. It's caught by Derek LaVille, and he's taken out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Tony Brackens tipped it.
Well, you're going to have all sides on the defense, or they would have stopped the play, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's...
Offside. Number 90 of the defense. 5 yards. Repeat third down.
you keep giving a team like the Broncos chances like this, and sooner or later it's going to come back and get you. Interestingly enough, on that last play, all they were trying to do is get out of the shadow of their own end zone to give their punter some room. Now you can actually go for the first down here and throw the ball down the field a little bit.
3rd down and 7 up at the 15-yard line. Greasy throws, it's caught by Smith, and Smith gets to the 20, but that's not enough.
Nope, they don't want to throw it down the field. I guess they're just trying to complete those passes, see if the receiver can make a play, break a tackle, and try to get the first down. But it's hard to realize just how hard this rain and how windy it is down on the field. And you want to throw these short little passes here because they're unaffected. And hopefully Smith can make the play for you.
4th and 1, ruined a punt, and Reggie Barlow is back to receive.
Just like Chris Watson before for the Broncos, Reggie Barlow's got to be careful with this football.
Trey Teague is going to snap it. No easy task in these conditions. Ruin accepts the low snap. Barlow holds it into the 35-yard line. Gets into Bronco territory and gets tripped up by Derek LaVille at the 46. And Rick Dennison, the special teams coach, furious with the coverage and wants a flag is what he wants, and he doesn't get one. Jacksonville at the 46-yard line, 1st down. It's a fumble by Brunell, and he covers it up at the 47.
All right, come on, boys, you got to stay in there. You have to ride the center out. You have to stay in there. You have to make sure the ball is there. You have to do everything you possibly can. Slow it down if you have to. Take a look at this. The ball's sopping wet. The hands are wet for the center. You just have to ride them and make sure you have the ball cleanly. We're getting shotgun.
2nd and 11 with Brunell barking. Two-man rush. Two-man rush and 9 in coverage, and it's incomplete.
Crocodile's pass intended.
Glenn Cudrez is there.
And Chris Howard was actually open, and it's hard to explain to you how difficult it is to grip the ball, throw it, especially when you're on the run and you're unable to set your feet. The ball just took off on Mark Brunell. Take a look at this. Here he goes. He's running to his left. Howard is actually open, and the ball just comes right out of his hand over the intended receiver.
3rd and 11, the ball at the 48-yard line.
Here he is. He's audibling outside, and he's looking for a matchup. He sees the blitz.
Keeps McCardell in the block. Still under pressure. Good pressure that time by the Broncos. Ma'atanuvasa.
Well, we talked about it at the beginning. The defensive coordinators in this game, Greg Robinson for the Broncos, and there's Tanuvasa, and Dom Capers for the Jaguars are masters of bringing all types of blitzes. And this is just Tanuvasa coming up the middle. And really, when you think about it, that's not much more than beating, but the reason he was able to beat his guys is because he was bringing the blitz from the outside.
Here's Barker's punt. Chris Watson fields at the 12, has no blocking at all, surrounded by a hassle of Jaguars, i.e. 5. And there is Capers. His defense coming onto the field right now. 12:48 left in regulation. In the rain in Jacksonville, it was dry in the first half, but it began to rain as the second half commenced, and it hasn't stopped. Beasley wants the crowd to get into it. And Denver has it at the 16-yard line, and look at that. Copycat game plans to this point. As Greasy throws, and it's dropped by Griffith. It'll be 2nd and 10.
It's almost like these guys have never played in the rain before. Watching the fumbled snaps, the drop passes, it is extremely tough to play in the rain, but the one thing you have to do is you just have to raise your concentration level, and you have to make sure of things. And take a look at this. This is Watson returning a punt, or trying to return a punt.
And somehow Denver was able to recover that.
Brian Griese fumbling a snap.
3 times tonight he's fumbled. Back live on 2nd and 10 now. This is Olandis to the 18-yard line. Gain of 1. Parnell Lake, the appropriately named Lake on a night like tonight, and Lonnie March in on the hit.
Not bad for the old man, the 11-year veteran who was brought over in free agency from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I talked to him before the game. I said, hey, how's it feel to be playing free safety where you're not around the action quite as much? And he said, yeah, well, go tell Tom Capers that. He's around the action. He's always been around the action.
Jacksonville tied for the NFL lead in sacks, but tonight just 1. As Griese retreats and then throws, and it is caught by Byron Chamberlain, and he has a first down as he takes it up to the 36, but there's a flag down, and Bryant is down. The cornerback, Darius made the hit. The penalty will bring it back. It's against Denver.
Holding number 31 of the offense, half a distance to the goal. Repeat, 3rd down.
Derek LaVille with the hold. So Bryant, their number 1 draft choice out of Alabama. You look at Sharp and Davis, 2 guys who would normally be going to. And they work on Bryant on the field. So there's an injury timeout in Jacksonville. Happy to report Bryant was able to walk off the field, so nothing serious. He's replaced by Dave Thomas. It is 3rd down and 17 from the 9-yard line as they run a draw with Derek LaVille, who was called for that hold, and he gets hit by Brant Boyer, so the Broncos will have to punt from deep in their own territory. A report from Leslie Visser. Les?
Al, just a little rain update. The players are protecting themselves by putting their hands in paper bags. Jonathan Quinn is keeping the plays underneath the plastic wrap, and center John Wade keeps his hand in a bag when he's sitting on the bench. There's a ball boy right over my shoulder here who's keeping 3 balls dry by rubbing them constantly. And Alan Boomer, the people here say this isn't even the worst it's been. They said Tennessee was much worse.
But Leslie, what about your velour? That is the question.
Scotch guard.
Hey, I pay any price.
Put it into the expense account, the cleaning bill. Here's Tom Ruin, the punt.
Oh, nice punt.
Beauty. Barlow backs up, 36-yard line. And he scrambles forward to the 50-yard line. So again, the Jaguars will have pretty good field position. 10:52 left in the 4th quarter in Jacksonville. 17-17. Left foot probable sprain. There is the Jacksonville mascot. Stewart, left foot sprain, won't return. Fernando Bryant's shoulder bruise should return. From the 50 now, they give the ball to Fred Taylor. We'll have to go the rest of the way with Stewart gone. A gain of 5.
Well, when you think about the Jacksonville Jaguars, we talked about at the top of the show how this offense has really started to catch up to the defense. And up to this point, only 12 yards this half. 12 total yards up until that run by Fred Taylor.
And that was Taylor's first run of the night. He's a guy who's been in and out of the lineup all year with a hamstring injury. 2nd down and 6. Taylor again. Nothing happening. Boomer, I have to think, a hamstring injury is something that's in the back of your mind anyway, but maybe even more
so with the
larger on
the way they are, yeah.
Sure.
And one of these running backs or defensive backs or wide receivers come out here and they have a slick track that they play on. It's more important that they keep their feet as opposed to worrying about their speed at this point. And quarterbacks are uncomfortable throwing the ball on time because they're not sure whether or not their guys are going to be able to stay up, and they're definitely afraid of throwing an interception.
Taylor hasn't played in the game in 4 weeks. Brunell fumbles the football and then recovers at the 46-yard line, and they're forced to punt again.
I have never really seen anything quite like this tonight. And I've played in all kinds of stuff, and I've fumbled my share of balls, but I have never seen the ball on the ground this much in weather like this. And it's bad, but it's not as bad as it's.
Right.
I mean, they played Tennessee here a few weeks ago in the beginning of the season, and it was worse than this.
Brunell had only fumbled 3 times all year coming into this game. He's fumbled twice in the quarter alone. Here's Barker's punt with the wind. Watson calls for a fair catch and hauls it in at the 14-yard line. 8:57 remaining in the fourth quarter in Jacksonville, 17-17. Second half for the Broncos, not much happening.
Ugly.
It began to rain. Look at that. At least they got the field goal out of it at the time of the game.
I was talking about fumbles, Al. 9 total fumbles tonight. 4 by Denver, 5 by Jacksonville. None of those fumbles were lost, however.
9 offensive recoveries. The ball at the 14-yard line. And Gary goes nowhere.
I would say 8 offensive recoveries and then 1 official's recovery.
That's exactly right. That's right. There was a fumble called on the challenge that should have been an incomplete pass.
But again, in these types of situations, I've always felt like the offense has the advantage because it knew where it was going. And if you could somehow free up a receiver outside and take advantage of somebody like Rod Smith and his speed and his quickness underneath, you might be able to hit a big one with him.
Second down and 9. And that's out of bounds. Unless you think this game, well, we'll tell you about that in a second. First, billboards. You're going to replace Don Pardo someday. Third down and 9 from the 15-yard line. Greasy chased by Brackens, and he's actually trying to get it into Carswell. It's incomplete.
Dangerous, and we were talking off air that I was saying that it's going to come down to somebody making a critical error, and Brian Greasy almost did just that right there. Neither of these offenses can move this football, and the last thing you want to do is give somebody really good field position. And you could see where he thinks he might have Carswell, but be really careful. Donovan Darius was right underneath that, and Fernando Bryant was right behind it.
Tom Ruin to punt. Barlow is back. Seems like I've said that about 100 times in this half. Fair catch called for, made, just across the 50.
Seems like the whole fourth quarter has been played on this side of the field. Sooner or later, Jacksonville's offense has got to wake up and take advantage of it.
Mike Shanahan, 2 Super Bowl rings in the last 2 years. Remember, he was also an assistant at San Francisco, the offensive coordinator there in '94. He's been in the NFL 15 years. He has 6 Super Bowl rings. From the 50, Fred Taylor slithers through for a yard or 2.
And you can see Romanowski, number 53. You don't think this means something to him? It sure does. And if I'm Jacksonville right now, what I do is I up the tempo, Al. I get in and out of the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, get my plays called, call it on first down. Don't be sitting up at the line of scrimmage, and take advantage of some of this field position and try to get my team back into it here.
Second and 8 for the 48. started to mention before, Boomer, lest anyone thinks the game is not that important to Jacksonville, if they lose, they would have the same record as Indianapolis. And let's assume that the Colts and Jaguars each won out. In other words, won the rest of their games, finished with the same record. They would actually go down to the fourth tiebreaker, which is net point differential in conference games. There it is. Jacksonville and Indy control their own destinies. But if Jacksonville can win out, they're guaranteed home field throughout the playoffs.
Well, if Jacksonville loses this game, they have a huge game coming up against Tennessee.
3rd down and 7, and that is caught by McCardell, but not enough for the first down. He had to come back, and he catches it 1.5 yards shy of the first.
So 12 weeks through the season, you're cruising, you're 11-1. All of a sudden, in week 13, you become 11-2, and then you have to go play the team in your division who's got 3 losses and has already beaten you once. Things can change quickly in the NFL, Al.
Well, that's their tough game. Their other 2 games should be walkovers, Cleveland and Cincinnati, and Indy still has Washington at Indianapolis, and they go to Cleveland, and then they end the season at Buffalo.
Well, you say they might be walkovers, but they are interdivision games, and Cincinnati's offense has woken up the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Corey Dillon in particular. And that punt by Barker will skitter into the end zone. And back to the 20-yard line. Back to the AFC playoff picture. Again, Indy and Jacksonville controlling their own fates. Virtual deadlock.
Well, right now, Seattle, Buffalo, Miami, and New England all lost yesterday. And this is the time of year where you have to win the games you're supposed to win. And that's Seattle, Buffalo, and Miami especially.
That's Darius Johnson going back to the locker room. We've got a report on him. Denver has it at the 20. Gary. And he backs his way to a 7-yard gain. On that graphic, Boomer, under the need help teams, if you saw Denver and said, what are those guys talking about? If you can believe this, the Broncos can actually still go to the playoffs. They would need a miracle of miracles, including 2 Baltimore Raven ties. Now, if about 114 things happen and the Ravens tied 2 games and the Broncos won out, they could be in the playoffs.
But it was reported that they were mathematically eliminated in other places, wasn't it?
Absolutely, but not here. 2nd and 3. This is Gary. And he gets whacked by Seth Payne.
And when you look where the Broncos are right now, it's the best field position they've had in the last 10 minutes or so. And they decide not to throw the ball, and they're trying to run it here. And now a 3rd and about 3.5 it looks like.
Right.
Could be a minor miracle if they can convert the first down. There's Dom Capers, the defensive coordinator of the Jaguars. What does he have planned now?
3rd and a long 3. Greasy throws. It's caught, but not a first down. It is caught by Carswell. Tackled by Hardy.
Man-to-man coverage. That's what Dom Capers decides. Carswell's got to break the tackle, or you make the tackle if you're a defensive player. And this is Hardy, and this is why many people here think that this guy is a candidate for NFL defensive MVP. Watch this tackle. He knows exactly where he's going. He wraps him up, he pulls him back, and doesn't give him a chance. That Shannon Sharp, I don't know necessarily that he goes down that easily.
Here's Ruin again punting into the wind, and it's a very stiff one. Bouncing snap, comes up with it. The ball just dies in the wind. I mean, it looked like Pebble Beach, but he gets a good bounce, and it's out of bounds at the 30. That was like a...
You say Pebble Beach, I say Shinnecock.
Whatever. The wind at Pebble, though, is...
What?
Always.
Shinnecock's pretty brutal at times.
Is it really? I've never been there. I don't play with a hoity-toity. Mark Brunell.
It was tough, but I think the expansion team stuff is, it was 5 years ago. A lot has happened since then. Now, if we went 4-12, 5-11, maybe in our 3rd year won 7 games, then I think we still have that expansion label. But because of the success that we've had, it's not talked about much anymore. We don't consider ourselves an expansion team.
talking about an expansion team, and Brunell hits Jimmy Smith. So finally, they get something going here in the second half. After going 3 and out on a half dozen possessions, it's Dale Carter who makes the tackle, but they're into Bronco territory.
Well, when you play action fake like this and you get the protection that he just got, he could just sit back in the pocket and hit a crossing receiver right there. Look, nobody's in front of him. Throws it on the money, and you know how difficult it is, how we've been talking about it, to throw the ball downfield, but he does have the wind behind him.
That is their first down of the half. Took them almost 27 minutes. Taylor threads his way for a gain of 7 to the 38-yard line.
And as we see Fred Taylor, and we know that James Stewart has already left the field with an injured foot, we're reminded of how valuable it is to have 2 running backs or 2 quarterbacks that can just pick up the load when another guy is missing. And now Fred Taylor has his opportunity to shine, especially here in the last 2 minutes and 50 seconds of this game.
Second down and 3 from the 38-yard line. Jaguars going with the wind. Taylor again. They're in field goal range, and a lot more. They're in touchdown range. Taylor, he almost didn't see somebody who had the angle coming in, but scores anyway. Taylor with a premature celebration, and George Coggill almost shocked the daylights out of him.
Now, we were talking to Tom Coughlin yesterday. He told us that Fred Taylor has the ability to make the play from any point on the field. This time it's 38 yards out, and you could see the explosive nature of this back when he gets through the line of scrimmage. Even he realizes, or thinks that he's fast enough that he can outrun safeties. And watch this. A nice read. Breaks the tackle from Glenn Cordrez, number 59, and just takes off and is kind of nonchalantly running for a touchdown.
Right, as Coghill is closing on him. Extra point is good by Mike Hollis. Wayne Weaver can smile. Tom Coughlin's not ready to smile yet, maybe in 2:35. Timeouts have 2 plus the 2-minute warning.
And when you see a play like that by Fred Taylor, he's 6'1", 230 pounds, and possesses speed. Tom Coughlin said that when he went and saw him, and there's Wayne Weaver, the owner of the Jaguars, and how excited he is, but when they went and timed Fred Taylor, was what was so impressive, and how fast he was in the 40-yard dash, like a 4.4 or something. And you could see why he loves this kid, because he has the ability to break it from anywhere on the field.
Lindsey with a kick. And with the wind, Watson downs it in the end zone. So the Broncos forced to go 80 yards into the wind. And a very happy Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach.
Well, if there was one guy on this roster that was fighting for his job, as you said early on, it's Lindsey, because Tom Coughlin has him here for the specific reason of kicking the ball into the end zone. He is just absolutely overwhelmed by field position, and he wants to put his defense in a situation like they're in now. An opposing offense having 80 yards to go as opposed to 70 or 65.
Kickoff specialist is a real luxury. Only 3 teams in the league carry 3 kickers. From the 20-yard line on first down, Greasy fires, and that is incomplete, intended for McCaffrey, who's covered by Beasley.
Well, Greasy had good protection that time. He's just got to step into the ball and throw it with authority. So he just took a little bit off of it, and he wasn't correctly set. Let's take a look at this. Here he is. Well, it's easy to say step into it, but when there's a defender right in front of your face about 2 feet away.
Second and 10 from the 20. Five-man rush. Smith catches it, but the whistle had sounded. Flag is down in the backfield. And they're saying incomplete now. And there's a flag down in the backfield.
This could be a tripping.
There is no flag on the play. The blocker slipped. There is no holding. Third down.
Wow.
Slipping, not tripping.
Slipping, not tripping.
That's news to me.
If you slip, you can grab onto a guy. Is that what?
I guess they're saying if you slip, you can hold. Yeah. We're rewriting the rule book tonight. Third down and 10 from the 20. us to the 2-minute warning, and the Broncos will have 2 timeouts and 48 yards to traverse. The consternation on Coughlin's face. His team up by a tenuous 7.
The Detroit Lions, and a tremendous story that is.
There's the QB comparison tonight. Remember, Greasy started the night 11 for 11. He's thrown for 218. Brunell coming off 3 consecutive 300-yard performances. Hasn't even gotten into triple figures yet. From the 48. Greasy flushed and then it's dropped. LaVille couldn't handle it. Incomplete, 2nd down. Go ahead.
You know, I was just saying, and when you look at the tail of the tape and you watch Greasy here try to drop it off to LaVille, he should have had the ball here, but it's not about always just one game. The season is just an absolute marathon, and you got to grind through it. And there are going to be moments where you don't play your best game, but if your team can win when you don't play your best game, I think that's truly indicative of how good of a football team you really are.
A couple of weeks ago, they beat Baltimore 6-3, so whatever it takes for this team. On 2nd and 10, that pass is incomplete. Try to get it to McCaffrey, who was covered by Beasley. 3rd down. Flag down.
False start. Number 78. 5 yards. It's still 2nd down.
So there's no option here, because on a false start like that, the play is dead at the inception, but the crowd was so loud that nobody heard it. Second and 15. First half, Denver the advantage with a huge first quarter. Still the advantage here, 7. Second and 15 for the Bronx at the 43. Greasy surveys, throws, and is pulled into the 35. What a catch by Chamberlain! Breaks through, tackles, scores for Denver.
What an absolutely wonderful catch in between 2 defenders. When Brian Greasy let the ball go, don't throw it. I thought it was going to be an interception.
Unbelievable. Bought time. Chamberlain cutting across the field. Coughlin barking into the headset. Dom needs a drink right about now.
Oh, my goodness.
And they're an extra point away from tying the game.
Take a look at this right here. Watch Greasy just float it out there. And you can see Blaine McElmurray not even trying to make a play on it, just sitting there.
Only the 2nd touchdown of Chamberlain's career, and Elam ties the game.
It almost seemed like Blaine thought the ball was going to actually come to him and it was going to be an overthrow. And what a terrific catch that was. Here it is again. Let's take a look at it. The ball was kind of floating into the wind. And Fernando Bryant misses a tackle. And remember, he hurt his shoulder earlier in the game, so you have to wonder if that has anything to do with it. Oh.
Well, Carswell and Chamberlain filling in for Sharp. Carswell is the blocking tight end, and Chamberlain, as Mike Shanahan was telling us last night, is receiving tight end.
And you can see why right there.
Yeah, Mike wasn't lying. Tom Coughlin watches that 7-point lead disintegrate with 1:43 remaining in regulation.
Now, and I go back to the beginning when we were talking about Denver Broncos having the heart of a champion. You can see that they just won't go away. They just will not give up.
Didn't we read a story about 2 months ago that they'd given up on the season?
We sure did.
Jason Elam to kick off. Fielded at the 9-yard line by Alvis Whitted. Up to the 27-yard line. And the Jacksonville Jaguars with 1:37 on all of their timeouts, all 3.
When we talked about it, Al, we also said that we thought maybe this might have been, oddly enough, Mike Shanahan's best coaching year, but given the fact that he had to replace John Elway.
John Mobley.
He lost Darian Gordon to free agency, Steve Atwater to free agency. And somehow has kept his team competitive.
From the 27-yard line on first down, and with everybody gunning for you because you're the two-time world champions. Brunell, and that is caught by Damon Jones, and he takes it up to the 48-yard line. And so the Jaguars try to answer, try to get into field goal range at worst.
Nice smart play by Mark Brunell, able to elude some tacklers in the backfield. Greg Robinson tries to bring the house. He brings the blitz. And take a look at this right here. There goes number 48, George Coghill, right past him. When you come as a blitz and you come from the secondary like that, you have to come under control.
From the 48-yard line, Brunell out of the gun.
And he's audibling. He's sensing a blitz.
Play clock to 5. Here they come. He gets it off. He's going deep. And Smith wants a flag, and there is a flag. Jimmy Smith with Dale Carter covering. And it's going to go against Carter, and they'll bring it deep downfield.
Pass interference. Number 40 of the defense. Automatic first down.
Now let's take a look at this. The only thing I can say is that Dale Carter comes in with a big reputation, worth a lot of money. Game's on the line. He kind of slips, but he's got to know better than that.
Right. More than 5 yards downfield. Pat Bowlen all bundled up. Hollis ready to kick a game-winning field goal if necessary. That was a 25-yard penalty. Ball at the 27-yard line. Taylor. Price will take him down to the 26-yard line.
And Price is having a great game. He's still enthused. He's still at the line of scrimmage, making plays. And the thing that I like here is much like Mike Shanahan did the last time we had him against Oakland, he was using his timeouts while his defense was on the field, hoping that he would get the ball back and give his offense a chance to either tie it or win it for him.
Right, and Denver takes the timeout here, figuring, okay, Jacksonville's in field goal range at worst.
You know, this is the guy, a kind of guy that knows how to manage a football game.
Right, always has.
And I think a lot of coaches around the league would not call the timeout here.
I agree with you. Well, there was a snafu yesterday in Green Bay with Carolina against Green Bay, and Ray Rhodes didn't take the defensive timeout. Carolina scores on the last play of the game, and Green Bay has no time left. In a situation where Carolina had a fourth down play, and Green Bay had to have called the timeout.
Now, it all works out great if you can stop them and you use your next timeout. And so many things are predicated on the next play.
Right.
And all the things happen right against Oakland. Let's see if they happen right now against the Jaguars.
Second down and 9 from the 26-yard line. And Taylor stumbles, but picks up a lot of ground to the 11-yard line. So now Hollis in almost chip shot range.
So now it doesn't matter.
And if they run one more play here, all you're really trying to do is set the ball up in the middle of the field for Hollis.
In order for your timeouts to work for you on the defense, you have to be able to stop the opposing team's offense, and Fred Taylor made sure that wasn't going to happen. Look at the good quicks. Look at his feet. He's got a good change of direction. He has good balance. All the things that you want to see in a running back.
See if they run a little to the right to set up Hollis, and that's what they're going to do to try to put the ball in the middle of the field. And he almost gets to the end zone, does Taylor.
Well, do you think we've seen enough of Fred Taylor to understand why everybody's so...
To win the game for Jacksonville.
And it was.
And that, my friends, is victory number 10 in a row. Years old is now 12-1, and that one loss was by 1 point to Tennessee. They are that close to a perfect season. Two of the very best coaches in the league shake hands. Brian Griese, the road to Atlanta, will come through Jacksonville on the AFC side.
Well, they showed me.